And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And holy smokes, hold on to your hat. Have we got a great show for you today? You know what? On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. We do that all the time. But on today's show, we're going to have a special segment. I'm going to be continuing my segment on tax tips, and you don't want to miss these. Got some great ones for you. And Joel Saltzman will be here, our own Dr. Wireless. He's going to be talking about new wireless technology. He's actually going to be talking about some really cool products announced this week in Barcelona at the Mobile Congress show, which has become a really, really big show. So, you know what? There's a lot for everybody when we talk about Joel Saltzman. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. But first, I want you to know that at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 80 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? I'm going to do the news. We're going to encapsulate it like we do every day, the first 10 items anyway, so that you'll get a pretty good idea of what's going on in the news, and then we'll try and deal with as many of these items in depth as we can. But here's the 10 things that you need to know for Wednesday, your daily look at breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that will be talked about all day today and tomorrow. Now, first up, Trump's foes concede they're running out of time. The election calendar suggests that if the New York billionaire's rivals don't slow him by mid-March, they may not ever be able to do that. And warring sides sign on to Syrian ceasefire. You know what? The Syrian government and the main umbrella for opposition and rebel groups accept the proposed U.S.-Russian ceasefire, albeit with some conditions. And the GOP ups ante in the partisan struggle. Majority Leader McConnell rules out any action this year in the Republican-led Senate on whoever Obama nominates to fill the Supreme Court vacancy. And details emerge on Scalia's sudden death. A doctor says the justice suffered from coronary artery disease, obesity, and diabetes, among other ailments that probably contributed to his unexpected demise. Well, which fallback stance Obama might take on Guantanamo? The president has not ruled out the possibility of again trying to close the prison through executive action. And Fidel and Raul Castro's older brother dies at age 91. Ramon Castro preferred tending crops and livestock to the political life embraced by his younger siblings. Well, where severe weather is turning deadly, suspected tornadoes ripped through the deep south, killing at least 3 people. And the United States is scrutinizing a possible Zika cases. The 14 cases all involve men who visited areas with Zika outbreaks and who may have infected their female sex partners who had not traveled to those areas. And what can lead to Oscar nominations? Well, among other things, how a movie is released at a prominent film festival, for instance, can pay big dividends at awards time. And finally, Hilton Hotels apologizes to Kyrie Irving. The mea culpa comes after the Cavaliers guard says he was bitten by bed bugs during a weekend stay in Oklahoma City. Man, can you believe that? Holy cow. You know what? Let's talk about some in-depth news. You know, just unbelievable stuff going on, right? You know what? Here's the latest. The WFP food airdrop faced some difficulties. The latest on the conflict in Syria and the provision ceasefire proposed by the U.S. and Russia. The World Food Program says its first high-altitude airdrop over the Syrian city of Deir el-Zur, which is under siege from the radical Islamic State group, may have been off target. WFP spokeswoman Bettina Lucier said in an email late today that 21 metric tons of assistance were dropped, but that the overall operation had faced technical difficulties. It was not immediately clear if that meant that the airdrop had missed its target, but Lucier said high-altitude drops are extremely challenging to carry out and take more than one trial to develop full accuracy. Well, you know what? You thought they'd done some test trials before they actually dropped the care, for Pete's sake. Now, United States Secretary of State John Kerry and his Russian counterpart, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, have held a telephone conversation to discuss issues connected with the proposed upcoming ceasefire in Syria. Our Russian Foreign Ministry statement on today actually said the two top diplomats continued discussions of the modalities of this process, demanding close coordination of efforts between our countries, including in the military sphere. The statement says the two stressed the importance of renewing the intra-Syrian talks about the situation in the war-ravaged country and ways to resolve 5 years of violence that has killed more than 250,000 people and displaced another 11 million from their homes. And you know what? If it weren't for bad news, I guess there wouldn't be any news, huh? Well, here's the biggie. Rubio pushed for a land deal as he backed law-limiting critics. Let's talk about that for just a second. You know what? Marco Rubio stood before Miami-Dade County officials in May of 2002 and pushed them to permit a multi-million-dollar industrial development to be built on restricted land near the Florida Everglades. 2 months earlier, Rubio, a rising Republican star in the state legislature, backed a law that made it harder for people to challenge the kinds of developments that he advanced for as a private attorney. Now, around the same period, Rubio also requested state money to be earmarked to benefit a flood-prone area around the development project. Those efforts by Rubio, now a U.S. Senator and the leading establishment alternative to GOP presidential rivals Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, provide a glimpse into how he handled the intersection of his public role as a young lawmaker and his private representation of a company that stood to benefit from his political connections. There's no evidence Rubio violated Florida ethics rules, but his seat in Tallahassee, the state capital, put him in the position of advocating before a county commission that relied on lawmakers like him to fight for state money. Wow. You know what? Time will tell. But you know what? Wouldn't you expect this kind of news to come out? I wouldn't put it past Cruz to have placed that into the news just because Cruz came in a sad third in Nevada. Well, for some turned-off GOP voters, grudging acceptance of Trump. Yep. You know what? They got to see the light. Sheila Covert is worried about Donald Trump. A loyal Republican voter from swing state Virginia, Covert calls the businessman bombastic and says there's just no substance in his boastful campaign rhetoric. But if Trump does become the GOP presidential nominee, well, I'd definitely vote for him, said Covert, an 81-year-old from the Richmond suburb of Powhatan. After a pause, she added, but I hope and pray it doesn't come to that. Covert is part of a legion of skeptical Republican voters across the United States coming to grips with the prospect that Trump, a candidate whose appeal they simply can't understand, may end up being their party's best chance for retaking the White House. The real estate mogul has scored 3 commanding primary victories in a row, including Tuesday in Nevada, and enters next week's delegate-rich Super Tuesday elections in a strong position. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the latest. No, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to do that. We've already done that. We'll talk about the Republicans' barrel towards Super Tuesday, and I'll give you some insights about that. So don't go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. You know what? Republicans barrel towards Super Tuesday now. That's the big deal. Republicans are barreling towards Super Tuesday with another debate in the offing and Donald Trump's opponents reaching for perhaps their last best chance to knock him off stride for a presidential nomination. Expect a nasty turn, Trump warned, as if the roiling GOP race were anything but that already. The New York billionaire predicted that the relative civility between Marco Rubio and himself would fall away in the frantic grasp for hundreds of convention delegates in the 11 states that hold Republican primaries next Tuesday. Even John Kasich, a trailing contender whose calling card has been a positive campaign, went sharply negative today in a campaign broadside against Rubio, the Florida senator, who is soaking up Republican establishment support and thereby threatening to starve Kasich's effort of its remaining oxygen. Trump exercised bragging rights with trademark gusto after Nevada handed him his third straight victory the night before. Relaxed on stage at Virginia's Regent University, Trump fielded questions from Christian conservative figure Pat Robertson, ticking off Obama administration executive orders he wants to reverse as president and joking about his recent dust-up with the Pope. He said earlier he might tone down his contentious rhetoric if he makes it to the White House, or not, since right now it seems to be working pretty well. And what of Rubio? Well, so far, he's been very nice, and I think I've been very nice to him, Trump said on NBC's Today Show. We haven't been in that mode yet, but probably it'll happen. He meant attack mode, by the way. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton scored the endorsement of Nevada's Harry Reid, the party's Senate leader, in advance of a primary Saturday in South Carolina, where she looked strong. She prevailed in the Nevada Democratic caucuses days before the GOP contest there, dulling rivals Bernie Sanders' drive and making Super Tuesday a crucial importance to him. Wow. Just guess. No, you don't have to guess. We all know, right? I think so. Well, White House considers Nevada Governor Sandoval for the Supreme Court. Well, the White House is considering Republican Governor Brian Sandoval of Nevada as a possible nominee to the Supreme Court. Yeah, you heard me right, a Republican governor. Now, two people familiar with the process told us that just today. The nomination of the Republican would be seen as an attempt by President Barack Obama to break the Senate GOP blockade of any of his choices. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican from Kentucky, has said his 54-member GOP caucus is opposed to holding confirmation hearings or vote on Obama's pick, insisting that the choice rests with the next president. The officials declined to be named because they weren't authorized to speak publicly. I guess they're afraid. Can you imagine what this is going to do to the Republican Party? Well, Mari St. Martin, Sandoval's communications director, said today that the governor hasn't been contacted by the White House. Neither Governor Sandoval nor his staff has been contacted by or talked to the Obama administration regarding any potential vetting for the vacancy on the United States Supreme Court, she said. Sandoval met with Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid on Monday in Washington while he was in town for a meeting of the National Governors Association. At the governors' meeting over the weekend, Sandoval said he was honored his name was mentioned as a potential successor for the late Justice Antonin Scalia, but had heard nothing to think the Democratic president is considering him. Well, can you imagine? A Republican? How does McConnell, how does he not been to that? You know, boy, this could be murder for the Republican Party. Well, Senate GOP leader holds fast, though, in blocking Obama court pick. Democratic foes gloat that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has guided his Republicans into a political dead end with his unbending edict that President Barack Obama's successor will fill the Supreme Court vacancy and replace Justice Antonin Scalia. The six-term Kentucky Republican has abysmal public approval ratings nationwide. Polling suggests independent voters side with Obama on this issue. Editorial boards insist the president should fill the vacancy now. But McConnell, the architect and face of the GOP strategy to block Obama's upcoming pick, appears entirely comfortable even as he upends Senate precedent by denying even a hearing to the nominee. And anybody who's observed McConnell over the years knows he's not changing his mind. I don't think so. You know, what an idiot. The guy looks like a turtle, acts like a turtle, thinks like a turtle, and you know what? I think his mind is a little bit slow like a turtle. Well, Austria, the Balkan nations want a full stop to the migrant influx, overwhelmed by a wave of refugees and what they call indecision in the European Union. Austria and its southern neighbors along the Balkan migrant route agreed to tighten border controls at a meeting today and warned that sooner or later they will have to shut their doors entirely. Greece, the first point of landing for most of the migrants arriving by boat from Turkey, was not invited to the meeting and responded angrily by threatening to block decisions at the forthcoming European Union Migration Summit if sharing of the refugee burden is not made obligatory for member states. The European Union has set up a scheme to share 160,000 migrants arriving in Greece and Italy. Even that would be only a fraction of the total numbers, but so far, barely 600 people have been relocated, and only some European Union partners have offered places for them. Fewer than 5,000 spots in all. Go figure, right? Now, I'll tell you something to figure on. Don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS loses. And the first case is a missed audit deadline. You don't want to miss this. I'm going to tell you all about it. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. You know, this sends chills up and down my spine, sends the hair up on the back of my neck. I can't say on the top of my head because I haven't got much hair up there. But you know what? I just love this part of the show. And first off, the IRS loses. Well, in this case, they missed an audit deadline. Let me tell you about it. A company declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy but continued operating. It then filed a later year's return, making a Section 505B request under the Bankruptcy Code. Now, this required the IRS to select the return for audit within 60 days or accept it as being accurate. Instead, after the 60 days had passed, the IRS said that $7 million more was due on it. The IRS says that the 505B request was invalid because published IRS rules required it be sent to the IRS district director, not be filed with the return. So they went to court. This is what the judge said. The IRS's argument was absurd, as it had earlier abolished the position of district director. So filing the request with the return was the correct action, and the tax is lifted. Now, did you hear how much I said? $7 million. Big deal, guys. Yeah. Well, here's the case the IRS conceded, and as always, I tell you, the IRS only concedes when they're pretty doggone sure that they can't prevail in court. Let me tell you about this case. Bank deposits need not be reported as cash payments. Let me tell you about it. Businesses are required to report all cash payments larger than $10,000 to the IRS on Form 8300. That's report of cash payments over $10,000 received in a trade or business. Now, here's a recent case. A car dealer sold cars using independent contractor salespeople. After a sale was made, the salesperson would deposit the sales proceeds in the dealer's bank account. Now, the IRS's legal opinion? The receipt of a bank deposit is not a receipt of cash, since the dealer never literally received cash in hand. The reporting requirement did not apply. It makes just good common sense, right? But I can bet you they would have loved to have fought this thing if they could. They just could never have prevailed. Here's a case the IRS lost. They cannot sue to collect tax that's already subject to a refund suit. Yeah, you heard me right. A company failed to remit payroll taxes, and the IRS imposed personal liability for these taxes on its owners. They paid a portion of the tax, then properly sued for a refund, contesting their liability, filing their suit in Kentucky where they actually lived. The IRS then filed a separate suit in Louisiana where the company operated to enforce collection of the assessed tax. The owners protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. When a tax liability is being contested in a refund suit in one court, the IRS cannot file a collection action for the same tax in another court. The Louisiana suit? Can you guess? Yeah, it's dismissed. That's exactly what should happen. Now, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things. Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. It's just a little bit like the Twilight Zone. Well, do you ever wonder what to do if the IRS sends you a check to which you're not really entitled? Well, first of all, wouldn't you just love for that to happen? But what do? You know what? Based on the most recent study conducted by the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, we call that TICTA, the IRS issues millions of dollars of incorrect refund checks every single year. Now, many times, the IRS will credit one person's account with someone else's money or issue a duplicate refund to the same person. Do not keep the money if the IRS mistakenly sends you a check or electronically sends you money to your account. Eventually, the IRS will realize that it has made an error and ask for the money back, and with interest. Better approach? If you receive money from the IRS and suspect that it was sent mistakenly or you don't understand why the IRS gave it to you, send it back with a letter requesting that the IRS confirm that the payment is accurate. If the IRS sends a new check with an explanation, you can then cash that check unless you absolutely know that the IRS has still not corrected a mistake. But at that point, you're safe. How about this? If it sounds too good to be true, yeah, we've all heard that, right? Promoters of tax schemes continue to make compelling arguments to gullible individuals that income that they earn is not subject to U.S. income tax based on Internal Revenue Code Section 861. Now, under the promoter's theory of this section of the code, U.S. citizens are subject to income tax only from foreign-based activities. Now, this position has been shown to be without merit, false, and a misapplication of the law and the regulations. You all remember fallen star actor Wesley Snipes? Well, he's been indicted and incarcerated for tax evasion because he submitted amended tax returns claiming refunds of millions of dollars based on this Section 861 argument. The indictment also alleges that Snipes did not listen to his tax advisor, who advised against participating in the scheme. Snipes, who was arrested on December the 11th, 2006, pleaded not guilty, was released on $1 million bond and returned to Namibia, where he was filming a movie. At a news conference, one of his lawyers said, but Snipes was a victim of a tax advisor's "it's tax season, don't be duped." Snipes spent time away from home in a federal resort. You don't want that to happen. Don't fall for this stuff, you guys. Let me give you one more. When the IRS asks you to extend the statute of limitations. Generally, the IRS must make an assessment of additional tax within 3 years from the date a tax return is actually filed. Now, if the tax return is being examined, the IRS may ask you to extend the statute of limitations for a period of 1 year or longer until it completes the examination. If you refuse, the IRS is going to make an assessment based on what it thinks you owe, and you'll then have the right to file a petition with the U.S. Tax Court. Now, here's a strategy for you. If the IRS has failed to identify a significant tax issue, such as your failure to report a large chunk of income, it may be a good idea to refuse to extend that statute of limitations. Giving the IRS more time to pursue the tax audit could mean that it will use the extra time to develop additional tax issues that could cost you a lot of money or even involve defending yourself against criminal charges. So always consult your attorney before you take any kind of action like that. You just, you know what? You just know you got to do that. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, I'm going to give you some tax tips. I've got some strategies for you. How about this? Businesses have many opportunities to select their own tax treatment. And I'm going to tell you how to make the right elections for your company right after these brief messages. So don't go away, folks.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 80 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it's going on as it's on its way down to 53 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our global syndicated network, I can tell you that in New York City right now, it's 55 degrees and foggy. And I only mention that. That's where my granddaughter Riley Logan goes to school at NYU. So, the weather's kind of sad there, and they're expecting some bad stuff. And if you're listening to us in Chicago, Illinois, it's 34 degrees, and guess what? Snowing. Yeah, snowing at 5:35 p.m. there. Now, let's. You know what? I promised you some tax strategies, and let's do that. Businesses have have many opportunities to select their own tax treatment. You just don't know about it. Now, here's how to make the right elections for your company. So put your thinking cap on and take some notes. When filing the business's 2015 income tax return, decide whether to make these elections. Now, this is important. In the case of partnerships and S corporations, most elections are made by the business, not the owners, even though owners report the consequences of those elections on their personal returns. So we have decisions to make, right? Let's talk about expensing. Small businesses can elect under Section 179 of the tax code to write off the cost of equipment in the year that is placed in service rather than depreciating the cost over 5 or 7 years or other periods fixed by the tax law. Now, for 2015, the expensing limit is going to be $112,000. Now, the advantage here, you get an upfront write-off even if the purchase is financed in whole or in part. Because of the time value of the money, expensing can mean tax savings. It also eliminates record keeping for depreciation schedules. While there is no downside to expensing, you'll not get any benefit if you're not profitable in the year that you actually do the expense. So keep that in mind. Now, to make the election, simply enter the items and the amount of the expensed part in Part 1 of IRS Form 4562, that's depreciation and amortization. Now, how about installment sales? Generally, capital gain on a sale in which at least one payment is received after the year of sale is automatically reported on the installment method. Now, only the portion of gain related to the proceeds received during the year is reported for that year, as well as interest that is charged because of the buyer is paying it out over time. Now, however, a business can elect not to use the installment method and instead report the entire gain in the year of sale, even though some or all of the proceeds will be collected in future years. What's the advantage? Well, electing out of the installment method may be wise if the business has built up sufficient capital losses, including possibly some of which would otherwise expire. To offset the installment sale gain, you also avoid reporting imputed interest income. That's interest the IRS assumes you received and recast as ordinary income from the installment sale. That's because you didn't receive the proper amount of interest. You can't just name your amount. Now, to make the election out of installment reporting is made by reporting the entire gain on either Schedule D of the tax return or Form 4797, that's sales of business property. Now, depending on the property involved, though. Now, the installment sale Form 6252, that's installment sale income, is not required if the election is made. Now, how about net operating loss? That's NOL carryback. Now, C corporations and owners of pass-through entities may have NOLs. Now, generally, losses are automatically carried back for 2 years and carried forward up to 20 years to offset income in those years. But an election can be made to forego the carry back and simply carry the NOL forward for up to 20 years. The advantage here? Foregoing the carryback can produce greater tax savings if the taxpayer is in a higher tax bracket, excuse me, in future years than in the carryback years. However, the time value of money should be factored into this decision. Now, foregoing the NOL carryback for regular tax purposes applies for alternative minimum tax, that's the AMT, purposes as well. You will not be able to carry the AMT net operating loss back Now, to make the election to forego the carryback by a C corporation is made by checking the applicable box on the return. That's question 11 on Schedule K of Form 1120. Now, other taxpayers make the election by attaching their own statement to the return, expressly waiving the carryback under Section 172B(3) of the tax code. Well, how about deferral for voluntary conversions? You know, an involuntary conversion is a casualty event that can produce a taxable gain when insurance proceeds exceed the basis of the property damaged or destroyed in the event. However, gain need not be recognized immediately if the business obtains qualified replacement property. So let me give you an example. You have a building valued and insured at $1 million, which has been depreciated down to $200,000 and was completely destroyed by a storm. The owner receives $1 million in insurance proceeds. He has an $800,000 gain that he can avoid by buying another building that costs at least $800,000. Now, by deferring gain, the business has more funds to reinvest in new property. Now, the downside, the basis of the replacement property is replacement cost reduced by the deferred gain. This means lower depreciation deductions for the replacement property than would be allowable had the gain been recognized. Now, a business that does not want to defer gains should not acquire qualified replacement property within that fixed period. How about this? To make the election, there is no form to file informing the IRS of the election. The business automatically makes the election when it buys property similar or related in service or use to the destroyed property within a fixed period. Now, usually within 2 years of the end of the year in which gain was actually realized. Now, the replacement period is 3 years for condemned business property, but it's 5 years for property within the Gulf Opportunity Zone. That's property destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. Even though it's a long time ago, as long as the replacement property is located within that zone. How about this? Election to use different annualization period for corporate estimated taxes. Think about it. Instead of paying quarterly installments based on the pro rata portion of the corporation's annual tax, the corporation can base payments on annualized taxable income. This is taxable income for a set number of months that is extrapolated into an annual amount. There is a standard annualized method fixing the number of months used for computation. Now, a corporation can elect to use one or two alternative annualization periods, depending upon the corporation's income pattern. For example, whether it has seasonal income or when its income traditionally peaks and declines throughout the year. Opting for an alternative annualization method can minimize estimated tax requirements. Now, to make this election, the corporation must file Form 8842. That's election to use different annualization periods for corporate estimated tax. No later than the due date of the first installment of estimated tax for the year. The election is irrevocable for the year. A new election can be made each year. Now, how about this? How about non-tax return elections? Other business elections are independent of the tax return, but still must be made within the fixed time frame. Within a withholding on personal use of a company car, for instance. Generally, an employer is required to withhold income and employment taxes on the value of this benefit. An employer can elect not to withhold income taxes, although Social Security and Medicare taxes still apply. Making this election simplifies the company's payroll responsibilities. It must still report the value of personal use of the company vehicle on the employee's W-2 form. Now, to make the election, the company notifies the employee in any reasonable manner of its intention not to withhold income taxes on this benefit. No IRS notification is necessary. Well, how about prepaid expenses? Typically, a prepaid expense such as an insurance premium is deductible in the year in which it actually applies, regardless of the company's accounting method. However, a business can write off more upfront by opting to deduct an expense when paid using a 12-month rule found in Treasury regulations. Now, the regulation section is 1.263A-4F. Now, to make the election, the business must request a change or accounting method by filing Form 3115. That's application for change in accounting method. One copy of the form is attached to the return for the year of change, and another copy is sent to the IRS National Office, not the service center where your return is going to be filed. The address is on the instructions for the form. Now, take note. This change qualifies the automatic IRS consent, but the business may have to report income adjustments resulting from this switch in accounting practice. So kind of keep that in mind as you move along. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, I think what I want to do is I'm going to talk about electing Chapter S corporation status. We'll talk about also a new strategy that lets real estate investors avoid taxes, and some troublesome tenants. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And at 3:49 p.m. Pacific time, you know what? It's still 80 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. But if you're listening to us on our global syndicate, well, there we go. If you're listening to us on our global syndicate, you'll hang on a second.
Hello?
Hang on. I'm sorry. If you're listening to us on our global syndicate, we are in Paris. It's 39 degrees and mostly cloudy, and in Rome, it's 54 degrees and partly cloudy. So that'll give you that. That call that came in wasn't actually for the station, so that's why I shut that down. I thought it was going to be Joel Salzman. He usually calls in a little bit early, but that wasn't it. And speaking of Joel, you know, he's going to be talking when he comes on. He'll be on here in about 11 minutes or so. And when he comes on, he's going to be talking about a lot of cool products announced this week in Barcelona at the Mobile Congress show, which has become a really, really big show out there. So we're gonna talk to Joel all about that. Now, you know, I promised I'd talk to you about electing subchapter S corporation status. And basically, you know, corporations can opt to be taxed as a small business corporation under subchapter S of the tax code. Now, doing so eliminates the so-called double taxation associated with a regular C corporation. It also eliminates the accumulated earnings penalty, as well as allows losses to be claimed directly by the owners. Now, if you want to make this election, the election must be filed no later than 2.5 months from the beginning of the corporation's tax year. Now, for calendar year C corporations in existence in this year, the deadline for electing S corporation status would be, let's see, if they were, this is their first tax year and it was January, by March 15th. They would have, of this year, they would have had to make that election. Now, elections made after this date are automatically effective on the following year. The elections made by filing Form 2553, election by a small business corporation. Now, take note, the form can also be used to simultaneously elect to use a fiscal year rather than a calendar year. Now, this can be the business's natural business year when its business cycle actually ends, or a tax year ending September 30th, October 31st, or November 30th. Now, a Section 444 election. Making a Section 444 election means that owners must make certain required payments. Now, essentially, the tax that is owed because of the tax deferral resulting from the fiscal year. A Section 444 election also requires completion of Form 8716. That's election to have a tax year other than a required tax year. This form can be attached to Form 2553 or filed separately with the IRS, whatever way you want to do it. And how about this? The IRS is, well, you know what? No, let's not do that. That's kind of silly. You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about new strategies that let real estate investors avoid taxes. Seems to me that that'd be worth talking about, don't you? Yeah. Now let's you know, also avoid troublesome tenants. I think that makes some sense as well. How about this? You know, owning investment real estate has paid off handsomely for many people. However, there are some drawbacks. Time and effort. Property owners may have to deal with tenants, handle maintenance, and so on, or pay someone to do it. How about geographical commitments? Hands-on property management might tie you down to living near your investment real estate. You could just sell your property, but selling investment property can be very taxing. And I mean taxing. You'll probably owe 15% on long-term gains, as well as taxes at higher rates on the depreciation deductions you've previously taken. You may owe state tax as well. Now, the higher depreciation we're talking about, when you're talking about recapture taxes on depreciation, that's not a 15% capital gain rate. That's a 25% rate. So keep that in mind. How about trading places? One way to avoid these problems is to enter into a tax-deferred exchange under Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code. Now, this can allow you to defer the taxes mentioned that I already talked to you about. Here's a new wrinkle, though. For decades, these 1031 exchanges required finding a new investment property to replace your old one. That still tied you down to property management. Well, you know what? Let's see here. Somebody's trying to get through on our on our line, and I wasn't paying attention to it. So let's see if I can't move them out of here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I think we got him out of there. So you know what? Because what is it? It should be Joel. He'll be calling in here in just a second. Basically, we've got so many people that try to call in. You'd think that they'd know that there was a show going on, right? Well, anyway, here's the advantages. These new deals allow you to be part owner of a property managed by someone else. Now, perhaps far away from where you live. You may even be able to exchange one property for interests in 2 or more properties tax-free. This will help to diversify your investment portfolio. Let me give you an example of that. Ann Young, boy, I got everything bumping on these computers today. Anyway, Ann Young bought a strip shopping center in her neighborhood many years ago. Over time, the property has appreciated and is currently valued at $3 million. Now, Ann is tired of dealing with the issues. This is going crazy. What the heck is going on? Everything is buzzing at us. Anyway, I'm going to just start that one all over again. Ann Young bought a strip shopping center in her neighborhood many years ago. Over time, the property's appreciated and its current value is $3 million. Now, Ann is tired of dealing with the issues relating to this property, so she'd like to sell. However, she's not eager to pay the tax, which could run into hundreds of thousands of dollars. So here's a strategy. To start her swap for a fractional interest, Ann sells her strip shopping center for $3 million. Those proceeds go directly to an unrelated party known as a qualified intermediary, which Ann finds through her lawyer or financial advisor. Now, after accounting for selling costs, the intermediary might be holding $2.8 million. Assume, in this example, there is no mortgage to be paid off. So the new deals, and then select some fractional interest ventures in which to invest her money. She might put $700,000 apiece into an office building in the Northeast, an apartment building in the Southeast, an industrial park in the Midwest, and a shopping mall on the West Coast. The intermediary will use the $2.8 million held for Ann to purchase these interests in the various properties. So the tax treatment, as long as Ann does not pocket any cash or benefit from a reduction in debt, she will owe absolutely no tax. Now, to lock in the tax deferral, certain timelines must be observed. So, just keep that in mind. Now, having said that, we're going to go on a short break. Do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be with our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. He's going to be talking about a lot of cool products that were announced this week in Barcelona at the Mobile Congress Show, which has really become a large show. So don't go away. We'll be right back with our own Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, They're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now from Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And at 4 p.m. Pacific time, currently, it's still 80 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our global syndicated network and you're in Rome, Italy, well, it's 54 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're in London, England, it's 36 degrees with scattered clouds. It's a little chilly. But you know what? I'll tell you who's not chilly. My good buddy, Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. He's here. He's going to be talking about some cool products that were announced this week in Barcelona at the Mobile Congress Show. Hey, Joel, welcome aboard, buddy. Joel, you there? Hey, Joel. Joel, are you with me? He's not talking for some reason. Joel, can you hear me? Joel, I can't hear you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to just kibitz for a little bit. I'm going to have you call me back, all right? Give that a shot. All right, let's see if he can give me a call back and see if that handles the problem. Let's see here. There we go. Now let's hope that he gives us a call back. It shouldn't be any big deal. This has been a day for technical problems for us. I don't know why it is. If you haven't done it yet, we'd encourage you to go out and get. There he goes. Let's try that. So, Joel, are you back with me? Hey, Joel, you there? Joel, I don't understand. Hey, Joel, you know what, Joel, don't know what's going on. You're not coming through and something's going screwy here. Let's, maybe, do you have your phone on mute or something? I don't know what's happening with you. Give me a buzz, on my other line, Joel, if you're getting this. Let's try that. Let me see if I can reach him. That might be the easiest way for me to do this. Let's see. Let's try it that way. Let's see. Try that. And let's try this. And let's see if that gets him. Well, it's calling. Or it says it's calling. You got to be calling back. There we go. Let's see if we can get Joel to call me. Hey, Joel, answer.
Hello.
Hey, Joel, you there? Joel.
Hello.
Hey, Joel, can you hear me? Joel? Well, I can hear you now. How come you can't hear me?
Robert, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I can't hear you, Joel. I don't know what's going on. What's going on here? Anything happening? Joel? Anything? Not happening.
Hello?
Yep, we're not coming through here. I don't know what's happening, Joel. You know what? Everything seems to be working on my side. It's just, you know what? I just don't get it. Don't know what the heck is going on here. We're trying, and it's not happening. Okay, so I'm going to try him one more time. Okay, Joel, can you hear me now? Joel, can you hear me now? Hey, Joel, can you hear me now? Joel? Hey, Joel? Well, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and cut it off. I don't know what's going on with these phones, but basically, I'm just going to try and cover what's going on here. I'm going to try and leave Joel a message. For some reason, I can't get through to him. Let me just kind of leave him a message. You know what? I'm going to go to a little bit of a commercial break, and then, matter of fact, I'm going to just play some music. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll play some music, and we'll come back to this afterwards. Okay, we are back. I just contacted Joel, told him that I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to go ahead and try and cover this segment. I have no idea what's going on. We don't usually have these problems, and I don't know if it's my connection or his connection or our connection or what connection. But I've got everything plugged in. Everything seems to be working. I don't see any problems that should be happening. So you know what? It is what it is, right? So let's see here. How about let me see if I can come up with some interesting stuff. Give me a second here, and we'll talk about any kind of interesting stuff. I'll try and find some stuff here that you may not have known about or hadn't given any thought to, and we'll break it down a little bit. Oh, you know what? Have you ever heard about a tax home? There's a tax home tax trap. You might be interested in. To deduct away from home expenses, business expenses, you must have a tax home. Now, to be away from your regular home. But the IRS says that your tax home is where you work. So if you work on the road, this could pose a problem for you. Let me tell you about a case. An electrician, Eric Walker, traveled the East Coast to temporary jobs he obtained through his union. He was married and his wife lived in Florida, which he said was his home state, but he spent little time there. The IRS and tax court said Walker's away from home deductions are travel, meals, and lodging were disallowed because he had no fixed place to abode or business location. Now, making each place he worked his principal place of business and tax home. So, there were other tax court cases, though, that came in and refuted that. And so we have to know that, not everything is the way it seems. IRS is generally going to make these kinds of decisions to their benefit when they're actually doing these things, and so they're not going to try and benefit the taxpayer. That's for sure. Well, let's see. We've got about 11 minutes on this part of this segment. I think what I'll do is I'm going to talk to you about some tax rules for eBay sellers. I think you might find that interesting. So let's give that a shot. With more than 233 million registered users, eBay is the world's largest marketplace. Now, millions take advantage of this online venue to sell anything and everything from junk around the house to diamond rings and cars and forklifts. Just because sales activities are online doesn't mean that they are invisible. You still need to know the tax rules to follow in reporting your eBay sales. When you sell items on eBay, the tax law may view you as belonging to one of three categories: casual seller, hobbyist, or business owner. Now, where you report income and whether you can deduct expenses depends on your category. There's no bright line based on revenue or number of sales dividing these categories. Many factors come into play. Now, here's what you need to know. Let's start off with casual sellers. If you sell an item or two from time to time, such as unused sports equipment sitting in your garage, you're a casual seller. There's no formal designation in the tax law of casual seller. It's a descriptive term. Most sales like this result in a loss. The price you receive on eBay will be less than what you actually paid for the item. You're not required to report the loss on your tax return. Matter of fact, you can't deduct it because it is viewed as a personal loss, and personal losses are not deductible. On the other hand, if you sell something at a profit, say the antique porcelain vase that you inherited from your aunt or a collectible child's game, and you bought it at a garage sale, you must report the gain on your tax return. Of course, to determine your gain, you'll have to know your basis in an item. Generally, either the amount that you paid for it, or if it was given to you, the donor's basis, or if you inherited it, the value at death of the decedent. If you don't know what your basis is, then all of the proceeds are considered profit. So, don't be lazy about this. You can't let that happen. How about this? Take a note on this. You can minimize taxable gain by adding your selling expenses to your basis. Selling expenses include eBay listing fees, the insertion fees paid to eBay to post items for sale, and final value fees, a percentage of the item's final selling price that is also paid to eBay. These fees are paid by the seller. There is no threshold amount of gain or number of sales before you are required to report. eBay transactions, you just got to do them all. All gain must be reported on Schedule D. You can't take capital losses because these are personal items. Gains on the sale of items of capital gains, long term if the items are held more than 1 year, a short term if it's for less than a year. However, it seems unfair? If you take a loss, you can't claim it. But if you get a gain, you got to pay tax on it. It just seems inequitable to me. However, unlike most long-term capital gains that are fixed at no more than 15%, gains on the sales of collectibles are taxed at 28% for those in income brackets of 28% and above. Now, collectibles for this purpose are defined in the instructions for Schedule D as works of art, rugs, antiques, precious metals such as gold, silver, and platinum bullion, gems, stamps, coins, and certain other tangible property. Well, how about hobbyists? You ever give that any thought? If you sell items on eBay more frequently, but your sales aren't profitable, your expenses exceed your revenue, you may be looked upon by the IRS as merely having a hobby rather than a business, unless you can prove that you have a profit motive. Then income is ordinary income reported as other income on Form 1040, but deductions can only be claimed to the extent of this income. You can make $1,000, your deductions cannot exceed $1,000. These limited deductions from a hobby are treated as miscellaneous itemized expenses deductible to the extent that they exceed 2% of your adjusted gross income. So there's always a mess going on here, right? The big trap is individuals subject to the alternative minimum tax, the AMT, lose any benefit from hobby write-offs because miscellaneous itemized expenses are not deductible for AMT purposes. How about this? eBay business owners. Think about that. Now, to get out of the hobby classification, you must have a profit motive. Now, this elevates your hobby to a business and lets you deduct business expenses and losses. Profit motive is demonstrated by running your activity in a business-like way. That's, you have a business plan, you keep good books and records, and maintain a separate business bank account and credit card. Devoting considerable time to your activities on eBay. Time is an issue. Consulting with business experts such as accountants and successful eBay sellers on how to improve profitability. More than 1.3 million people have full-time or part-time businesses on eBay. If you're one of these people, be sure to observe the following tax responsibilities. And I mean, these are responsibilities, not choices. Report income and expenses. Like any other sole proprietor, you must file Schedule C to report your income and expenses for the year. If you form a legal entity for your business, such as a corporation, you must file appropriate tax returns for that business. The difference between your gross receipts for the items that you sell and your cost of inventory, called the cost of goods sold, less any returns, is your income from eBay activities. Being in business also means that you can write off eBay-related expenses. Let me give you some examples of that. How about car expenses? You can deduct business use of your personal car for travel to garage sales, flea markets, and other locations where you buy your items or otherwise conduct business, as well as trips to the post office or other shipping companies to mail the items to your buyers. Write off your actual costs of business use of your car, or take the IRS's standard mileage rate. The per mileage rate, plus the parking fees and tolls. That's not included in there. How about fees paid to eBay and PayPal, online pay, the online payment company? Home office costs, provided you use your space, such as a spare room, regularly and exclusively for your eBay business. You can't just be playing games with that, just don't even think about it. How about internet access fees? If personal use is minimal, and it's got to be really minimal, you got to be using your internet because of the eBay, on and off and checking, doing that kind of stuff. How about sales and management tools? Typically, these tools, which help you automate listing and tracking eBay sales, involve deductible monthly and annual subscription fees. Software costs may be expensed, deducted, or depreciated. So keep that in mind. And we talked about that choice earlier in the business choices that you make. How about pay self-employment tax? If eBay activities are profitable, you owe self-employment tax, which covers Social Security and Medicare taxes, and both ends of it, by the way. It's not the same rate as what they take out of your paycheck if you're employed. Now, here's a break, though. If eBay is a sideline business for you, you are an employee at another company, the Social Security portion of this tax may be covered at your place of work through FICA withholding. The wage base is going to be $105,000. So anyone with wages at or above this amount from which FICA has been withheld will also owe the Social Security portion of the self-employment tax. However, there's no wage base limit for Medicare portion of the tax, so profitable eBay businesses will always owe some self-employment tax. So see instructions at the IRS Schedule SE, which is part of the Form 1040 for details. And that's really where you want to go with that. And don't forget to collect sales tax. Just because a business is conducted online does not automatically exempt transactions from state and local sales tax rules. With more than 8,000 sales tax jurisdictions nationwide, sales taxes are complex. In broad terms, a seller must collect sales tax on items sold to buyers within his or her state. So check with your state revenue department for information about your collection and reporting responsibilities. And finally, there's a break here. eBay business owners should obtain a state sales tax number, also called a resale number, under which to report sales tax collections. You can get the number from your state revenue department. Sellers can then use this number to avoid paying sales tax on items purchased for resale. That's their inventory. Now, don't play games with this. I've seen so many people get in trouble because they use that resale permit to buy stuff without tax and use it for personal use. Don't even try to go there. It's a big, big, big mistake. Now, when we come back, you know what? We want to talk about, let's see. I'm not sure what we want to talk. Let me just check out a few things and we'll come. You know what I'm going to talk to you about? Let's talk about retirement account investing, the loopholes in that. That's what we'll talk about when we come back from this commercial message. So don't go away. We'll be right back, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Boy, I owe a big apology to our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. I don't know what was going on. Everything was working flawlessly other than a couple of little glitches going on. But when he called in for the show, for some reason, we weren't able to communicate. Everything on my end seemed to say everything was working, but obviously it wasn't. So, you know what, Joel, I apologize to you if you're listening. And listeners, if it sounded a little frustrating to you, I apologize to you for that too. Well, I'm going to cover this next segment as well, and then we'll get on our regular segment. And I'm going to talk to you about retirement account investing loopholes. I think that's probably a good thing for us to get to right now. And I'm looking at a cartoon right now, and it's got a guy that's in the IRS. There's the IRS agent that is reaching across the desk yelling at this guy, and there's this caption that says, "Sarcasm will only hurt you, Mr. Collins. And no, I was not on America's Most Wanted last night." Yeah, it makes sense to me. Anyway, how about retirement account investing loopholes? Let's start with earnings on investments in retirement accounts, such as IRAs, 401ks, and 403bs, accumulate tax deferred. Now, in Roth IRAs, 529 tuition plans, and health savings accounts, HSAs, investment earnings are completely tax-free. To maximize the tax benefits, consider using some of the strategies I'm going to give you now. The first loophole, hold investments that pay qualified dividends and capital gains in taxable accounts outside your retirement accounts. That's qualified dividends generally are paid by U.S. corporations from after-tax retained earnings. The reason? Qualified dividends and capital gains are taxed at no more than 15% federally. Because the rate is so low, it makes more sense to invest these assets in tangible or taxable individual accounts than tax-free or tax-deferred accounts. Conversely, all amounts withdrawn from tax-deferred retirement accounts are subject to ordinary income tax when the money is withdrawn. Now, the amounts are not taxed at favorable dividend or capital gains rates, so keep that in mind. And here's another loophole for you. Take advantage of tax breaks for capital gains in taxable accounts. When you hold stocks, bonds, and other investments in taxable accounts, unrealized capital gains are not taxed until the securities are sold. Such gains are never taxed if they are held until death, because your heirs receive that stepped-up basis equal to the value of the securities on the date of death. So, kind of keep that in mind a little bit. How about this loophole? Avoid the IRS wash sale rule by selling unprofitable securities held in your own name and repurchasing them immediately in your plan account. Yeah, this way you can deduct the loss but continue owning the securities if you think that they have a long-term capital potential. Generally, you cannot deduct a loss when you sell a security and buy a substantially similar security within 30 days before or after the sale. Now, this rule does not apply if you deduct a loss from the sale of securities held in an individual taxable account and repurchase the same securities in a tax-favored account. Why? You're not considered the same owner as the plan. Yeah. Here's another loophole for you. If you are an active trader or trade stocks and options in tax-favored accounts, the otherwise high-tax short-term capital gains will be deferred in an IRA, a 401k, and a 403b accounts. By the way, those 403b accounts are generally teachers and police officers, people like that. And the gains will be tax-free in Roth IRAs and 529 plans and HSA accounts. Take note, though, penalties and taxes apply to early withdrawals. You also forfeit any tax benefits for losses generated by investments inside a tax-favored plan. So, be careful when you're dealing with these kinds of things. How about this? People who receive company stock from a 401k plan and later roll the account into an IRA should keep the stock outside the IRA and pay early withdrawal tax and penalties, if necessary, rather than transferring the stock to the IRA rollover account. When you sell these shares after holding them for more than a year, you pay favorable capital gains rates on any appreciation. Now, by contrast, if you sell the shares within the IRA and withdraw the money, it'll be subject to ordinary income tax. The reason? You owe tax on the tax basis of the plan securities, not the current market value. Here's an example for you. Let's just say you withdraw 1,000 shares of your employer's stock from your 401k plan with a tax basis of $20,000. The shares are currently worth $100,000. You owe tax on $20,000 and a 10% early withdrawal penalty if you're under the age of 59 and a half. Any appreciation over $20,000 is going to be taxed at favorable capital gains rates or receive a stepped-up basis for your heirs at your death. Here's another loophole for you. Build wealth by making non-deductible traditional IRA contributions that accumulate tax deferred and then roll the money into a Roth IRA for next year. Here's the thing. New IRS rollover rules effective for this year apply to all taxpayers, including those currently ineligible to make Roth IRA contributions. Here's another loophole for you. Buy real estate investments in tax-sheltered accounts. Why? When you sell properties, the tax on the gains is deferred until you begin taking distributions from the plan. Those gains, like all plan distributions, are taxed at ordinary income rates, not capital gains rates. The property must be purchased directly by the plan, not in partnership with the plan participant. Plan owners cannot manage the property themselves. They must hire a property manager to collect the rents and pay any mortgage, real estate taxes, utility bills, insurance, and other expenses. The plan can borrow funds using the real estate and other plan assets as collateral. However, then some of the gains would be subject to tax on unrelated to business income. Generally, tax-sheltered plans that own property secured by loans or mortgages are taxed on the portion of the income earned attributable to the mortgage. So, that's one way of going through it and doing that kind of stuff. Let's see here. We've got another 7 minutes worth of time to kill here. I'm not sure what to get to. Here's something for you. How about the IRS challenges pension plans with life insurance sub-trusts? You're going to find this interesting. A new IRS ruling challenges the popular strategy of buying life insurance through a pension plan account by means of a pension plan sub-trust. Now, how it used to work? An individual has his or her pension plan invest in life insurance on his or her own life. The subtrust is formed to hold the policy and keep the individual from having incidents of ownership in the policy, such as the ability to change the beneficiary. Now, this keeps the policy's proceeds out of the individual's taxable estate, which keeps them free from the estate tax. Now, since life insurance proceeds are generally free of income tax, the policy proceeds become available to the individual's beneficiaries free of both estate tax and income tax for use as the terms of the subtrust direct. Now, the advantages of this: deductible pension plan contributions buy life insurance benefits that are tax-free. In contrast, if the individual dies with cash in the pension plan account, the cash is going to be subject to estate tax at that time, and then also to the income tax when distributions distributed to the heirs. Potential double taxation. Think about it. So, using the pension plan funds to buy life insurance converts them from being subject to double taxation to being tax-free. A potentially huge payoff for you. Life insurance subtrusts have been used since 1984, when Congress repealed an earlier unlimited estate tax exclusion for qualified plan retirement benefits, but the IRS has never formally ruled on them to either approve them or disapprove them. So, let's talk about what's new. In a recent technical advice memorandum, that's TAM, the IRS states that use of a life insurance subtrust violates the pension plan laws when the amounts in it can't be used to pay retirement benefits. So, the entire pension plan could be disqualified, forfeiting all its tax benefits for both the employer and plan participants. Although any TAM applies only to the single taxpayer to whom it is issued, it does indicate the IRS view. Others who use life insurance subtrusts should be alerted that the IRS may make a general ruling on them in the near future that may be adverse. So consult an expert to see what you should do. Here's the thing. Always talk to a licensed professional. They're generally going to save you a lot more money than they ever cost you. And they're going to give you peace of mind. Absolutely. They're going to make it possible for you to sleep at night. No question about it. They have, as a condition of their licensing, the requirement to have errors and omissions insurance. That's the same thing as malpractice insurance, by the way. And that means that if they give you false information or bad information, they have to pay the piper, not you. Now, doesn't that make sense? Sure it does. Well, let me give you some more information beyond the property settlement. That's what we're going to talk about. Anyone who's going through a divorce should work closely with a knowledgeable tax advisor to ensure that a proposed property division does not create unintended tax results. Also, keep all relevant records for tax purposes. For example, brokerage statements showing the basis of securities. Check availability of COBRA health coverage so that a non-employee spouse, assuming that the spouse has no other health coverage, can continue to receive health benefits for up to 36 months, the period fixed by law. for divorce through the other spouse's employer's plan. Now, COBRA is mandated by law for employers with 20 or more employees. So kind of keep that in mind. How about this? Settle any estimated joint tax payments made prior to divorce. Couples can agree to apportion the payments of any way that they want, regardless of who wrote the check or who earned the income. If they can't agree, payment must be apportioned on the basis of the respective tax shown on separate returns for the year. And then finally, consider filing separate returns. During the course of divorce proceedings, couples generally remain jointly and severably liable for taxes on a joint return. Separate filing avoids this liability and the need to submit and prove an innocent spouse claim to avoid liability. Now, there's something else that you can do too. When you go to your tax man, if you're talking to each other, divorce is not easy. But if you're talking to each other, if you can go to the tax person yourself and you trust him to be objective to both of your sides, he can do that tax return with you separately and with you together to find out where you benefit the most. And this is the time not to get creative. This is the time to do a really clean return, but you can see where you'd wind up better off. Filing separately is not always the best bet. It is if you think there's going to be a tax liability there, but that's the only way that it's going to work for you that way. Well, how about the home sale exclusion? It's not all it's cracked up to be. Don't assume that, as many people do, that the $250,000 exclusion for gain on a home sale, $500,000 for joint returns, is going to protect all the gain on the future sale of your home from tax. The exclusion already has lost more than 20% of its real value to inflation since it was enacted way back in 1997 and continues to lose value at the rate of inflation every year. In addition, the boom during the past few years in the housing market has greatly increased the value of many homes, pushing them toward or over the exclusion limit. The longer you own a home before selling it, the greater the chance that you're going to owe tax on its sale due to the combination of appreciation in the home's value and the exclusion's continuing loss of real value due to the inflation figure. What do? Keep records of the cost basis of your home, the full amount that you invested in it. The cost basis will be subtracted from the sales price to compute your gain when you sell the home. But include the cost basis expenditures made to improve the home, room additions, remodeling, upgrades, wiring, plumbing, upgrades to the roof, the siding, that kind of stuff. And if you fail to keep cost records for improvement you've made your home in the past, try to reconstruct them now while you can still think about it. This is big stuff and important stuff. Now, don't let it get past you. Well, it's time for us to take a short break, and I got to tell you, I got to take a little bit of a breather. I wasn't prepared to talk for an additional half hour. In any event, when we come back, we're going to talk about the birthdays for today, the secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard Business Tip of the Day, and interesting but useless facts. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, you know what? It's time for us to do the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is spot a bad boss before you take a new job. Yep, that's a big deal, right? Sure it is. One of the greatest predictors of happiness at work is your relationship with your manager. But how do you assess a potential new boss while you're still interviewing for the job? Pay attention to how the manager treats you throughout the interview process. Did you get a good feeling from the person? Is she someone, or he, that you can imagine going to with problems? Do you do a Google search and check out hers or his online profile, as well as those of people who used to work for him or her? If you find people who have left, reach out to them and ask what it was like to work for that manager. After you've offered a position, ask to spend a half day with the company and your future team. Above all, trust your instincts. You know what? This is a commitment. It's like a marriage. You don't want to go off half-cocked. You want to make sure that you're doing this in a proper way all the time. Well, it's time for our secret daily teaching for your life. And, this is all about a positive mental attitude. I say that every day. You are in total control of your life. You decide if you're happy, you're sad, you're rich, you're poor, you're successful, you're a failure. You decide what the feelings of people around you are. It's all with that positive mental attitude. Don't ever, ever forget it. You know what? The secret for today is this. Many people have sacrificed themselves for others, thinking when they sacrifice themselves, they are being a good person. Wrong. To sacrifice yourself can only come from thoughts of absolute lack, because it is saying there is not enough for everyone, so I will go without. Those feelings do not feel good and will eventually lead to resentment. There is abundance for everybody, and it is each person's responsibility to summon their own desires. You cannot summon for another person because you cannot think and feel for another person. Your job is you. When you make feeling good a priority, that magnificent frequency will radiate and touch everyone close to you. Yeah, that's how it works, guys. Keep it in mind. That's how it works. Well, let's talk about the birthdays for today. You know what? Today is Wednesday. It's February the 24th. And yeah, absolutely, it is somebody's birthday. Okay, now we have some good birthdays today. Let's start off with the fellow that was born in 1938. He's a billionaire and the co-founder and chairman of Nike Incorporated. Happy birthday, Phil Knight. And here's somebody you all know, born in 1942, a junior senator from Connecticut, Joe Lieberman's birthday. Happy birthday, Joe. And here's somebody that everybody knows. He's not with us anymore. He's born in 1955, computer pioneer, co-founder, and chief executive officer of Apple Incorporated. Happy birthday, belated, Steve Jobs. And finally, born in 1968, passed in 2005, comedian known for his surreal humor and unconventional delivery. Happy birthday, Mitch Hedberg. Yeah. You know what? I have to admit, I don't know who that is. But happy birthday anyway, Mitch. How about this one? How about happened today in history? February 24th, 1863. Arizona is organized as a United States territory in 1863. Not a state yet. And in 1868, the first parade to have floats is staged at Mardi Gras in New Orleans, Louisiana. If you've never been, boy, is that something to see. If you've never been, is that someplace to go? Wow. It's just unique to the United States. And in 1970, on February 24th, NPR is founded in the United States National Public Radio. And in 1981, Buckingham Palace announces the engagement of the Prince of Wales and Lady Diane Spencer. Yeah. Wasn't that something? For those of us that lived through it, that was quite a thing. And how about this? The quote for today comes from Herman Hesse. Herman says, "If I know what love is, it's because of you." Wow. Man. Yeah. I'm going to use that. I'm going to plagiarize that. Why wouldn't I? Absolutely. Okay, it's time for some interesting but useless facts. We got a number of them. We got a little extra time here, so we'll do a few of them. Did you know the height and width of modern American battleships was originally determined by ensuring they had to be able to go beneath the Brooklyn Bridge and through the Panama Canal? You know what they call that? They call that planning. Yeah. Well, how about this one? The rickshaw was invented by the Reverend Jonathan Scobie, an American Baptist minister living in Yokohama, Japan, built the first model in 1869 in order to transport his invalid wife. Today, it remains a common mode of transportation in the Orient. I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting if you think about it. Here's one for you. Beetles taste like apples, wasps like pine nuts, and worms like fried bacon. And I'm never going to know because I am never, ever going to try it. I might ask you to try it and tell me if it's true, but I'm not going to try it. Did you know that the ashes of the average cremated person weigh 9 pounds? Yeah. So think about it. The average person weighs what, 180 pounds? And when you're cremated, 9 pounds. The rest of that was liquid. Yep. Did you know that weight can affect a woman's ability to conceive? Well, that doesn't sound surprising. I haven't given it much thought, but it doesn't sound too surprising to me. How about this? An octopus can squeeze through a hole the size of a 10-cent coin. That's a dime. Geez, can you imagine that? That's scary. How about this? Did you know that sound travels 10 times faster through granite than air? That's kind of interesting. Granite, that's rock, folks. Yeah. Hey, did you know the first Ford cars used Dodge engines? You know what? Yeah, Lend-Lease, I suppose you could call it. Here's one for you. Thomasville, North Carolina, prohibits airplanes from flying over the town on Sundays during the hours between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. You know why? That's when their church services were, yeah. How about this? The fastest computer in the world is the Cray YMP C90 supercomputer. It has 2 gigabytes of central memory and 16 parallel central processor units. Now, if you understand what it is I just told you, let me know, because I haven't got a clue. Try this one on for size. Some cultures kiss by biting off each other's eyelashes. That is sick. Yeah, that's really sick. How about this? King Gillette spent 8 years trying to invent and introduce his safety razor. Yeah, give that some thought. And coffee beans are similar to grapes that produce wine in that they are affected by the temperature, soil conditions, altitude, rainfall, drainage, and degree of ripeness when picked. Coffee beans. Well, that's important to me because I'm good for 2 cups of coffee first thing in the morning. Gotta have it. You know, I don't know why I gotta have it. My disposition doesn't change because I got it. But for some reason, it's become a routine with me. All right, let me leave you with this. In general, women are 37% more likely to go to a psychiatrist than men. I'm going to just leave that right there. I'm not going to give that any more airtime. However, when we come back from this commercial message, I'm going to answer your emails. My first one's from Avery Mees from Grisham, Oregon. She's asking about the tax treatment of gold. Well, that should be interesting. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400 4900, or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're getting down to the wire, but I want you to know that at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time, it's finally knocked off the 80. We're at 79 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us on our global syndicated network, if you're in Madrid, Spain, it's 46 degrees, mostly cloudy. In Tokyo, Japan, 36 degrees, and also mostly cloudy. Well, you know what? If you're in Sydney, Australia, 88 degrees and clear. That's nice weather, you know. That's just nice stuff. Well, you know what? It's time for us to answer your emails. I want to remind you that this is an entertainment section of the show. We do our best to answer your emails as comprehensively as we can. We want to remind you that sometimes the information you send us is just a little bit sketchy. So we always encourage you to talk to a licensed professional. They're generally going to save you more money than they cost you, and they're going to give you peace of mind, let you sleep at night, simply because they're going to be responsible for what they tell you. They're required to have errors and omissions insurance as a requirement of their licensing. Same thing as malpractice insurance, but it says that if they make a mistake, they pay the piper, not you. So you don't have to worry about somebody knocking on your door, or ringing your doorbell, or tapping you on the shoulder, or sending you a registered letter. You're covered. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to this email. First one comes from Avery Meese from Grisham, Oregon, asking about the tax treatment of gold, and says, I want to buy gold as a safe investment, but I've been told that it doesn't qualify for capital gains tax treatment. Is this true? Well, Avery, gold bullion is a collectible upon which the top long-term capital gains tax rate is 28%, not that 15% that you normally see. The same tax rate applies to gold coins and the exchange traded funds, a form of tradable security now that track the price of gold. You can still profit from gold at that 15% long-term capital gains tax rate by investing in gold mining companies or in mutual funds that specialize in holding the stock of such companies. Capital gains realized on their shares is taxed like that on any other corporate shares, but their share prices are highly correlated with the price of gold. Hopefully that answers your question, Avery. Next email comes from Gabriela Oliveras from Cortland, New York, asking about gifts of tuition, and says, my grandson is about to go to college where the annual tuition is well over $12,000. If I pay it for him, will I be making a taxable gift? Well, Gabriela, the answer to your question is no, not if you make the payment directly to the college. Now, generally, gifts exceeding the annual gift tax exempt amount, and by the way, that's $13,000 per year per giver, to any one recipient must be reported by the giver on a gift tax return. But payments made on behalf of an individual directly to an educational or medical institution are not deemed to be gifts to the individual and are tax exempt. In fact, you can make them in any amount on behalf of an individual and still give that individual another $13,000 worth of tax or money tax-free. So write the tuition payment check directly to the college instead of giving the money to your grandchild. It'll work out better for you. Well, next email comes from Sia Patel from Coles Neck, New Jersey, asking about posthumous income. She writes, my mother died and I prepared a joint return for that year that her husband signed for their taxes. Then, for the next year, I received a 1099 from my mother reporting several $1,000s of income to her. Her husband filed a single return that year. So how do I report this? Well, you know what? Good question, Sia. If the income from a bank or investment account that her husband or another person inherited through joint ownership or an account beneficiary designation, that person actually owes the tax on it. If the income was paid by your mother's estate and then distributed by will or state law, consult the executor or administrator of the estate. Ask the issuer of the 1099 in the future to send the 1099s that name the proper recipient, and that's what has to happen here. And finally, my last email comes from Melissa Reyes from Oceanside, California, asking about inherited property basis. And writes, inherited property gets stepped up basis equal to its market value when it has appreciated in value. But if it has fallen in value, does it get a stepped down basis? And Alyssa, the answer to your question is yes. When the owner of a property dies, the property basis, its cost for tax purposes from which gain or loss on the sale is determined, becomes its market value at the owner's death. If the property has appreciated in value, the basis is stepped up to its appreciated market value, and taxable gain on appreciation to that date is eliminated. But if the property has fallen in value, basis is correspondingly reduced and deductible capital loss is eliminated. So here's a strategy for you. Hold appreciated property until death to bequeath it to heirs. Sell lost property before death to get a deductible capital loss. And that's the way you want to handle this. Well, I want to tell you that on my next show tomorrow, Sean LaFave and I are going to talk about current events, travel logs, and healthcare on the Geared for Wellness Corner. I want you to please tell all your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. And don't forget to get our app. I'd certainly appreciate it if you'd do that. It's absolutely free, and you can listen to us live or listen to our archives. Go to the Apple Store, search Robert Cardoza Live, and it's right there, and it's downloaded free. Or if you've got an Android or a Windows product, go to googleplay.com, search Robert Cardoza Live. Still going to be free for you. That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.